Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. It is Thursday, game 1 of the NBA Finals. So, Sports Idiot Nation comes to you every Monday and Thursday. And again, NBA Finals, so we got to talk through it. Talk through how the teams got here, how the West was won, why the East was fun, all that jazz. So, miles behind enemy lines, joining me, of course. So, let's look at how the teams got here. We were talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and just what are your first overall thoughts?
First thought is you said all that jazz. The Utah Jazz will not be there.
That
And
is facts.
they, like myself, will be watching the Brazil World Cup qualifier game tonight. But
Also,
we're here to talk
let me
about the
stop you.
NBA.
Now, also, shout out to Monday's episode where we talked about just about every team in the Western Conference except for the Utah Jazz. That was on purpose.
The poor bastards who will not be getting Cooper Flag, who's like, I thought he was going to be the adoptive Mormon, but he's coming here instead, allegedly, until the GM blows that one too.
Right.
In any case, the funny thing I notice when going through these rosters is I know way more Indiana Pacers than I do Tropic Thunders. And that blows my mind. How the hell did the Seattle Supersonics of Oklahoma City win 68 games? And looking through this, it's like, okay, you got Shea, you got the MVP. Dude balls out, drops 30 a night. 30 plus. Well, during the postseason, he's dropping about 30 a night. Dropped about 35 a night during the regular season. Chet Holmgren, future stud. You know, he's obviously an up-and-comer, high draft pick. Then beyond that, I'm like, don't know you. Alex Caruso with a 7-2. Don't know you. This guy, Jalen, what? Jay Williams? What? This guy went to Santa Clara. Steve Nash? Does he know Steve Nash? No, it's mind-boggling that not only do we have two small markets here, we have obviously SGA, and we have the budding star that is Tyrese Halliburton. And then obviously you have a couple other guys from Indiana that have been here before, or at least, have been a staple of their teams for a decade. Shout out to, like Miles Turner, who's been through it. And
right.
Obviously you have what's his nuts that won a championship, Pascal Siakam, that won a championship with Toronto with an asterisk, according to you. But beyond that, it's like, no, there are very few headliners right here. But that can also work to the advantage of the NBA, because when you're like, man, we missed out on New York being in the finals. Man, we missed out on LA spiraling out and so on. But you have the opportunity to create new storylines. And that's, as long as you present it in the right way, you're going to be just fine. Be genuine about it, but you can also very much now be original about it.
So here's what's interesting. He came into the league and right away over 16 points per game. As a rookie, that is impressive. I mean, you got to go through it a little bit in the NBA, and just to come in right away and to average that. And then last year they were the number 1 seed. They blew it, as we know, but he averaged over 20 points a game. And then this past year, over 22 points a game. That is your Klay Thompson, if you will, on a team. I mean, it is. And it's his defense, a la Klay Thompson as well. Like, the guy is a great teammate from everything that comes out about him. It is the weirdest thing. Jalen Williams, who is this guy? And I am kind of excited to see America gets a chance, hopefully, and we'll talk about this. Are they even going to watch? But the ones that do, I'm locked in. I told you I was all in on the Yesers. As soon as I made fun of their name, I was all in. And so Oklahoma City, look, I was talking about this the other day. You talk about teams that have won 71 games, teams that have won 70. Those are teams that you talk about for the next 50 years. And Oklahoma City won 68 games. You can't.
Can you say that again? Say that.
Yeah.
Say that again.
The Oklahoma City Thunder won.
Oklahoma City.
They won 68, and I'll owe you one.
There we go.
But
Not
68
the
games, dude.
Supersonics.
You don't. The owner of the Seattle Supersonica celebrates Hanukkah. You don't fall into 68 wins. You don't like, oh, I tripped and fell. Like, that's like cheating on your spouse. Oh, I tripped and fell, and yeah, I cheated. Like, that's not how that works. So you do have to be good. And there's one glaring stat that jumps out to me that I want to give you. They lead the league in steals and lead the league in committing the least amount of turnovers. That is not good for an opponent. You're saying you turn them over the most and you don't give it away. You give it away the least.
The least.
That how many extra possessions are you getting in a game? And I didn't realize that they actually statistically push the pace actually more. It says stat-wise they push the pace actually more than the Indiana Pacers. And that's what, in the Eastern Conference Finals, that's what everyone was making a big deal, is how many dunks were the Pacers getting off of a Karl Anthony Towns made shot. It was like 6 in a game. Barkley, I remember, was like, Charles Barkley was like, look, this the Eastern Conference Finals. You can't give up none of them. And they giving up 6, Ernie. Like, yeah, I agree. And that is a pretty solid Charles Barkley. You can't do that. You can't give up a made basket. This isn't the Amari Stoudemire and the best player from Santa Clara, Steve Nash. This isn't the Phoenix Suns. Like, good Lord. The pace is crazy. So the Thunder's crushing it with pace, and they don't turn it over, and they turn you over. And there you have it, they're 9-point dogs, the Pacers are, in game 1 of the finals.
And right there, you may have just created the storyline that's going to be paramount for this series, and that will draw eyeballs as long as they keep pace with where they've been. We got up and down, like we saw in the Eastern Conference Finals, and knowing that OKC can play that way, that's a recipe for a fun series. I just don't know that the Pacers, the Yesers, can keep with the team like Oklahoma City. And I always say, look, they didn't really beat anyone in the East. Wait a minute. They took down a 60-plus win team in Cleveland. No, that was a different Cleveland team. We know that. I know it. You know it. We all know it. Believe me. And they got to avoid Boston. New York, I don't believe in them. Never believed in them. We talked about it preseason when that was T.I.'s pick to click. New York, I didn't have faith because we know what New York is. And God bless them. They made the Eastern Conference Finals when Jason Tatum went down. Good for you, Indiana, that you got a little bit of a layup, pun intended, to the NBA Finals, because the Pacers, with their path, were the best team. The Pacers absolutely deserve to be in the NBA Finals this year. But good luck taking on Oklahoma City, a team that plays a grueling, rigid style of defense that, in my mind, still remains to be seen. Are they going to be on the level of the Bad Boys of Detroit? Are they going to be on the levels of even a Chicago or San Antonio or Detroit Part 2 of the Bad Boys back in the early 2000s? I don't even think we're going to get our answer this year, because I don't think they're playing one of the best Eastern Conference teams of the last 10, 15 years. They're not playing a LeBron-led Miami or Cleveland team. They're not playing a Boston team that we saw at full strength just last season. So that might be a little bit of a gift. If Oklahoma City doesn't win the series, then no, toss them the wayside. I don't want to hear from you again. I don't want you back in the finals next year. They went this year. You damn right I want to see OK City back, and I want them to see them against an all-time team. We'll probably see them go through it next year in the West. The West is going to be absolutely loaded next year, especially if they pick up Giannis. Whomever it is out West picks up Giannis. So we're going to find out real quick this series and in the coming years what Oklahoma City is made of, and the fact that they really only have one superstar for sure, Chet Holmgren, The dude's a stud. We'll see what he is in the coming years as well. But beyond that, man, bunch of role players. And guess what? I kind of love it.
So that's what I want to ask you. Is it good for the NBA that you talked about Giannis? There's no Steph Curry. There's no LeBron James. There's no, these names, Kevin Durant, Street Clothes.
The usual suspects.
All
The usual
these names,
suspects, man.
There's not one. And I want to ask you two questions. One, who is the most famous person in the NBA Finals to you? And second question, piggyback off that, is that good for the NBA moving forward or bad?
The most famous player to me, no, it's Pascal Siakam, because Tyrese Halliburton, we're just getting used to. I saw him play quite a bit in college, and I was like, well, it's a 3-point shooting league now. He can adapt, but the dude's a flat out baller, and I had no idea. Because even you see him play as much, playing in the Big 12, and you're not Kansas, you're not Baylor, you're not priorly Texas as they were when he was there. You don't really know what he's made of other than the dude can shoot the ball. Well, the guy is a budding superstar. Yes, I will say it. He is a budding superstar. There's no question in my mind. But beyond that, SGA, cool. I hated him at Kentucky because naturally that's who he is. Beyond him, Chet Holmgren and everyone else on that roster as we've been through. So to me, is it Miles Turner? Is it Pascal Siakam? Sure, it's going to be Pascal Siakam. The dude's won a championship. Okay, Thomas Bryant. Crazy. Yeah, shout out my Hoosiers. But the guy he caught fire in Game 6, baby, from deep. I never seen that big boy. I never seen that big boy shoot 3 balls like that. I wish he would as a Hoosier a little bit more. But
or OG Anunoby in that game.
Yeah, but too little, too late, baby. And then obviously Pascal having won a championship against your shorthanded boys pre-COVID. And I always, the COVID days, then watching all, stuck in a barracks room back when I was in the Army, watching far too many YouTube videos and far too many of Click Productions where he's, creating all these NBA Live or NBA 2K simulations. And who always came up in the trade portal? It was always Pascal Siakam. And, this is right after the Raptors win their 2019 championship. So it's Pascal. And that name's always in my head, especially during the COVID days. So to me, the most famous player is him, and apparently he wins the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Still a little bizarre to me that we have that, but it's legit, and he still matters.
The Larry Bird.
It's clear. The Larry Bird, which is very fitting for a Pacer to win. Obviously, he was the head coach. He was still the head coach when they made the finals in 2000, right? I know, obviously, he was the head coach when they got beat down the Bulls in '98, but he was there. They got their ass kicked by the Lakers in 2000. They were way overmatched. Kobe, Shaq, right in the thick of their prime, winning their first of their three-peat from 2000 to 2002. But now I think the Pacers actually have a legit shot. Oklahoma City's the better team, but with a bunch of quote unquote unknowns. There are names there, we know. But it is, again, the opportunity is there for, again, ABC, ESPN presenting their last, for at least now, their last finals to actually get it right and create some original storylines. It's there for the taking.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to be butthurt over all this. Well, we don't have a big name. Last year you had Tatum upcoming. Obviously you had Luka, Kyrie, who had been in a million NBA finals and just knows how to lose championships. You had those names there. But you can get lazy with that, and that can get drawn out and can get a little mundane. Now, we'll see what they do, but there is obviously opportunities here to create great storylines with these fresh new faces. You can construct these new stardoms for guys like Tyrese and guys like SGA and show that they're the future, not guys like Ant-Man. And that can be perfectly fine as long as they keep the pace in the series and we have a back and forth series. And I don't mean back and forth in terms of who's winning the games, but I mean getting up and down the floor, just like we had in the Eastern Conference Finals. And you know what? Then I'll start watching it as much as I watch the World Cup qualifying and the NHL Finals between the Panthers and Oilers.
Right. So here's something that I was thinking through. When you have an MVP on one side, I immediately think of the defense on the other side. So you have SGA, who was MVP, anointed MVP from week 1 of the season. It was done deal. He was winning it. He won it. Shout out to him. Good player. Bringing back the mid-range. I'm okay with that. Now, you look at the other side. Obviously, Halliburton is there as far as to guard. Naismith can guard him. I don't think that Andrew Nembhard, as we're learning, we're going to go through the Pacers roster a little bit. They're unknown as well. I don't think Nembhard's the guy. I do like that they kind of pick up full court. I do like that they're battle tested in. They need to stop SGA the way that they thought in their mind that they needed to stop Jalen Brunson. Like, he was the team, right? So I think Rick Carlisle, I think that he can draw up things defensively very similar. But I just want to go through the guys that they can throw at him. Again, we mentioned, of course, Halliburton, Nembhard, Naismith, and then TJ McConnell is that guy that'll pick him up full court just because that's how he stays on the roster, is doing those little things and scoring 10 points a game. That's what TJ McConnell does. And he's been there through the tough times too. He's a fan favorite. I like to see a guy like that. He's the Matthew Dellavedova of the Pacers, dude. Like, literally.
Splash Brothers, no splashing for a game.
For a game. Yeah, that was cute. So I just think, I don't know if it's enough, to be honest. I wonder if they'll do something like, an Obi Toppin, who just has length, who has speed. Dude, he reminds me of Malik Williams.
Yes, he does.
Toppin, even looks-wise. So, again, Miles and I, if you don't remember, had a chance to coach Malik Williams, who technically, I think, is not with an NBA camp right now.
Last was Miami, was what I recall. Played for the Raptors now 2 seasons ago. Well, last season still, but pretty much 2 seasons ago now. But he has the same style of play, his body. If you took the silhouette of Obi Toppin and said, hey, told us back when we were coaching him nearly a decade ago now in high school and said, hey, this is Malik in the NBA. Oh, that boy turned out and he filled out a little bit, because Obi's obviously got a bigger frame. He filled out frame. It's the same frame, but he filled out more that an NBA player needs. But their style of play is identical, and I think the same way.
Yeah. It's cool seeing him. I like do a double take when he's in there, and I just want him to do well. And I have to tell myself, buddy, that's not Malik, but I still like him, like
he played at Dayton and it's close to home.
Yeah. So, and it was fun seeing Obi go against the Knicks, because he was their like big pick and being drafted, and it didn't pan out. And
the Knicks screwed that up. He didn't pan out because the Knicks misused him. And there's no question in my mind. Now the Pacers are properly using him, and he exploited the Knicks, especially towards the end of Game 6.
Yeah. So is that crazy to think like, well, do they or like, let's look at Oklahoma City. Who else are people that have to be like accounted for? Chet is so tall and he shoots threes. So I know Miles Turner also stretches the floor because he also hits threes, and that's awesome. But on the defensive side of things, this is where I'm like, I don't know if the Pacers have enough guys, and they play a lot of guys.
So to this point, I think it's less about the guys on the floor and who's off the floor. Jim Carrey. So you recall the movie Coach Carter, right? All right. So there was a spot during the start. He was talking about reverse, because they practice their defense all the time. I think with the Pacers, a little bit of the reverse. And he said to him, hey, we haven't practiced much offense, Coach. What are we going to do? What have we done a lot in practice? Run. What do you think we're going to do on offense? Run. And I think that's what the Pacers are going to do. Now, obviously, that's talking on the offense side of the ball.
was like, yes.
All right, white boy, Magic Mike over here. So I think the Pacers want to do that, and that can translate to their defensive schemes as well. If you keep the pace so hot and heavy, then you can fluster Oklahoma City's offense. And then naturally their defense, they're going to pick up full court, as you alluded to earlier. So I think it's more about going to be Carlisle's schemes that's going to keep the Pacers in this series. And I think they're going to live and die by that. If they are not able to keep the pace, which I know Oklahoma City wants to do too, but I think Oklahoma City's smart enough that they'll want to control the tempo more and cool it off just a little bit. Because if they get, knowing that they're the better team overall, if they get the Pacers more into a funk and outside of themselves, they're going to struggle, and this is going to be a quick series. I think Oklahoma City has the capability to switch up the pace more than the Pacers do. And I think it comes down to the fact that SGA can manage from long range. He obviously is the mid-range shooter that you alluded to. But if they want to run and gun, cool, we'll do that. When we want to cool it off, we'll do that as well. And the Pacers, I think all they can do is run and gun. But if they force Oklahoma City into that constantly, which Oklahoma City is accustomed to, I think that works to the Pacers' benefit.
Yeah, I just think that, for example, the factors that I thought of for the Western Conference Finals was that first quarter. Where things were in the first quarter was going to tell us a lot. And in the Eastern Conference Finals, I would say the first team to hit 100 points at the level that it is. Like, is it in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left? Is that when a team hits 100 points? Because that's not good for the Knicks if it's with 8 minutes. If it's with only 2 minutes, and whoever scores 100 first, but if it's with 2 minutes left in the game, then I like the Knicks' chances, right? Okay, the factor for this in at least game one, in just a few hours from right now, to your point, I would say that it's almost a little bit like what the Western Conference, how I felt about the first quarter. Not who's winning, but what the score is. Is it 27-23? Is it 34-30? Is it 19-13? Do they come out nervous, both teams? And, what was it? 9 points in the first quarter that the Timberwolves.
Yellow socks.
You pee down your leg. Yeah. So I think that's a huge factor for game one. Now, moving forward, we'll talk more on Monday about how the series is going, because we would have had another game under our belt by then. But in game one, tonight, I think what the score is in the first quarter will tell us about pace and tell us about who executed their game plan to more perfection than not.
Who gets outcoached and who's doing the outcoaching?
So Rick Carlisle does have a cool edge in that he was by far the underdog before. We're like crazy. Like, it's crazy to say worse, but you had to say the Heatles, that the Mavericks were a much bigger underdog than what the Pacers are with, yes, they have the MVP, yes, they have, but it's not LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. Like, it's just not. So if anyone can do it, and no one's talking about this, it absolutely is Rick Carlisle. Now, sure. Dirk is next level. There is no one on the Pacers that is the level of...
What did the cooks at Red Robin say about Dirk?
that yeah, he played like he black. Yeah, so I worked at Red Robin back in the day, and they loved the cooks at Red Robin. Boy, they loved them some Dirk Nowitzki. Boy, that Blair cold. He cold-blooded.
German.
Yeah, the big German. Well, then he married a black woman, so now he's invited to the barbecue already.
Is he apparently blacker than RG3 now?
Oh man, that's another one. Yeah. So I think. Plus, you have to admit, you have to be willing to say that Rick Carlisle has grown as a coach since then. I mean, he's had to learn a few more things.
Is he 70 years old yet? I mean, to me, he's like Pop's age. Like, he's been in the league that long. He look it too. And he's been all over, but he belongs at a team like the Pacers. And he's been obviously successful. He's a Hall of Fame coach.
And he was there as an assistant. It made sense to bring him back. Like it's very cool to see. And I live in Indiana. You are literally from there. It would not be a bad thing if the Indiana Pacers win an NBA championship. It's only been 50 years. Like
it's good. It's good for the Sincast and therefore the world.
Therefore the world. Yeah.
It blows my mind. They've only been to now 2 NBA finals as of tonight. And even in the ABA, they sucked.
Yeah. Indiana Yesers. So as I mentioned, I am all in on the Yesers. I think if you win game 1 on the road, it's a huge thing.
You steal home court advantage.
Yeah, but I will go out on a limb and say that if they win game 1, they are winning the NBA Finals not because they steal home court, but because they just convinced the world that they can. And so now roll the ball out and play. So
in the head.
And then if Oklahoma City wins, all they did was protect home court, and it'll be for us to talk about how it went down and all that, and then let's just see what happens game 2. But if the Pacers win game 2, I wouldn't say, guaranteed they're going to win. But if they win game 1, it's more like you said, it's that psychology part.
Mental.
And because they would lose game 2. There's no way the Pacers are winning the first 2 games in OKC. Obviously, the series would be over. But if they win game 1, I'm calling it. I would say that the Thunder, they haven't been through it enough. Last year, we had this conversation. The Thunder have not been through it enough. Now, this year, you can officially say they have because they've been through it. They've been through some losses. They had a 40-piece given to them by Ant-Man. So, they've been through it a little bit. Okay, that's fair. We'll give it to them. They're still the youngest team in the last 40 years to reach, average age, to reach the NBA Finals. I mean, it is crazy.
Which almost dates us all the way back to the franchise's last championship in 1979.
Yeah, I think one T.I. was 17 years old.
You were damn near in your mama's belly, so don't you be ragging on him too hard.
Not too hard. But a reminder.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable, and I got to interrupt you before you give that reminder because I got to remind the folks that you cannot take it back. I think you have to go back to the Knicks and the Spurs the last time you had a matchup between 2 teams that hadn't either won it or hadn't won a championship since the 70s, and that's a series all the way back in 1999. So they're only 20 years removed. Now we're damn near 50 years removed from either team. Obviously, the Pacers having never won it in their second finals, as I mentioned before, and the Oklahoma City Thunder of Seattle, or the Seattle Supersonics of Oklahoma City, haven't won it since 1979.
Yeah, that is wild. What's crazy is the Oklahoma City Thunder are already back in the finals, where to be there now twice.
Yeah.
And the Pacers have now been there twice, and they've been in existence way longer. And again, that gives the asterisk to it because, folks who jump in, well, Miami and Dallas in 2006. Well, Miami only came into existence in the 90s. I'm saying for teams that actually existed back in the ABA days. Correct.
That's the longest gap of a team either winning or never winning a championship.
Who you got tonight? Game 1. Who you got?
OKC. I think the entire town of Oklahoma City shows up in the high school gym and they protect home court and they take game 1.
One thing about Oklahoma City I saw, when you come in and become a player, they show you this video from the bombing and everything, and they show every player and it connects them to the city. And it's a small market. It's very small city. So you're already, when you go out to eat, when you do things, you already see everyone, and it's like a tight-knit thing. And so for that reason, if the Pacers can pull it off, that's why I think it'll be downhill from there. However, I have OKC winning it, just being galvanized by the city and having the best record the whole way, knowing that they were the laughingstock over the last decade or so since the big 3 of the 3 MVPs that left that team, which is wild. Good on Sam Presti for pulling this together, man, which has not been talked about enough. I mean, no question.
We have before in our pop-off episode.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Kudos to us. Yeah, you're welcome for that one. And you mentioned the preview of the game, like the walkout. Obviously, historically, you think of the Chicago Bulls when you think of that. And the Oklahoma City bombing happened in 1995. We had the 30th anniversary of it just the other month in April. The majority of those players probably never heard of that bombing before they became an Oklahoma City Thunder team member, because I can't say a Thunder because there's no such thing as a Thunder, but a member of the Thunders.
Yeah.
And once they joined the organization, saw they're like, what is this 9/11? No, they probably don't even remember 9/11 either. They're too damn young.
Right. No, it is. It's great. It's a cool thing not a cool thing that the bombing happened. It's a cool thing
In memoriam.
Yes, and how they bring that city in that way, and that place will be rocking later tonight. Excited to watch. So a reminder, check out Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. Check out the Printful link. It's in the show notes so that you can get your gear. Your team sucks. Get it in time for a football season. And the other reminder that I was getting into earlier was the bet between T.I. and I, the 10-point dogs, that Titans, I'm giving them 10 points when my Niners take on the Titans. So just a reminder, just throwing it out there. I'm still feeling confident, and there hasn't even been put on any pads yet in the NFL.
It's going to be the T.I. Marino Bowl.
Yes.
Which I guess makes this the Timothy McVeigh Bowl because he did Oklahoma City and then was executed in Indiana. So I'm dubbing it the Timmy McVeigh.
All
Sport
right,
Idiot comment of the night.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. So we will see you Monday.
Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.